www.drslatonlive.com. That's Brain Talk, my new book. And I think it's very, very fascinating. Why? Because it is a culmination of over 35 years of work. So I'm in reflection now. As an author, I am in reflection. My research concluded in 2016. And since then, I have been studying all my field notes and video clippings and pictures. And I have been writing from reflective, let's call it the mind state of being in the field for so long, and then getting the opportunity through a sabbatical to actually reflect on the experience of experiencing children, executives, just every aspect of the community, federal, state, county, local. I've been in there, and I've been studying sense and receive path functions, how people make choice decisions. And so here it is, the brain talk that I'm talking through is about my experience as who? The person in the middle of all this, assessing self, other people, and the environment, because it's not about dissecting an individual. You dissect yourself first. Why? Because you can't talk about somebody else's sense and receive path function unless you are aware of your own strengths and weaknesses, and you start from there before you start talking about someone else's. That's just the way that I roll. So when you come and you pick up the book, you're going to first be introduced to me. And then I'm gradually going to take you through the experience of experiencing the experiences that led me to make these conclusions. I said conclusions because the party's over. The work is in. And Dr. Slaton has spoken. What you're going to experience is how did he come to these. Well, let's go back and say mindset, because I don't like the mind, because the mind, when I say the mind, I'm talking about your reflection of the experiences that led you to where you are right now. What happened and what's happening. And so that's a very significant lead in, because that's what brain talk is about. How do you change that mind? How do you get a person to choose to comprehend the need to change so that they can begin to function more effectively from the inside out? First, you're talking about leadership, but you're not talking about external leadership from the environment. You're talking about inner leadership through your sense of feel for self, so that you can begin to function and perform on your feet or sitting down. Because I am Dr. Slaton Live, and what I'm trying to get you to understand is communicate. Well, let's look at it like this. I got 4 words I use. You live, to learn, to think, to respond. And in each one of those, there's brain talk. Because how do you think about living without, I said that key word, think. How do you think about living without something going on inside you that leads you to choose, that makes sense, that doesn't make sense, and then say, I really thought about that. That's brain talk, okay? But it's got to be grounded in understanding what a sense and receive path is, okay? Because information comes through you, and there is a process variable. And what I'm telling you is that process variable is called the sense of feel for self, right? Because you have the right to choose not to accept that information flow, because it's coming from the environment. For example, I'm the instructor. I'm sending instruction to you. You just don't like me, so you don't let the information go through, because you can choose to reject my flow of information into your receive path, right? And that's what we're talking about. So I've been doing this work for children, youth, young adults, leaders, and so forth and so on. So I'm bringing it to you so you can begin to understand we're falling behind as human systems. Why? Because technology is taking over. What I'm talking about is intelligence, human intelligence, more importantly, self-intelligence, because you must be able to compete in the 21st century, because technology is moving just that fast. We're talking about from the cognitive science revolution, utilizing computers, by the way. Neuroscience, again, utilizing computers, by the way. Human system science, I'm saying to you, comes from my direct interaction with human beings. So what I'm talking about is how humans do these things. Develop intelligence, for example. Dr. Slaton Live, I'm going to keep bringing it just like this. Now, the ultimate experience is understanding the experience of self first. I'm saying to you that you can't understand the experience of life unless you come to conclude that you're the experience. Why? Because you are inside your body, and what happened and continues to happen happens to you. So when you want to get out from under the negative flow of energy, you have to identify your strengths and weaknesses and then cover that path forward and backward feed through your sense and receive path. I'm saying what I do with my people is teach them how to read to the brain, write to the brain, draw to the brain, act to the brain, perform to the brain. Now the brain is more flexible. Why? Because there's process variables in there through your sense of feel for self, because you are feeling your way through the hurt, the anger, the sadness, or the effect of just people that have negatively influenced your sense path and made it harder for you to receive information and hold on to it in positive levels of reflection, not a mind state, but in a flexible mental storage of memory where when you reflect, that negative energy is removed because you're thinking it through your feelings of self. So it's not fixed, it's flexible. So it's changing because you choose to comprehend the need to understand why you must change so you can actually continue to grow as a leader from the inside out. So I keep talking about these things because it's very, very important, because the Brains Body Showcase, when it hits you, you're going to enjoy yourself. Why? Because you're going to see all these things coming at you from people delivering their body for you to observe and their brains for you to learn. And so it's exciting, the experience is, because they're writing to the brain, they're talking to the brain, they're reading to the brain, they're acting to the brain, they're performing to the brain. The brain's body is a learning process cycle. So now you know when you hit a bump, when someone slaps you and does something to you, and you got to catch yourself, say sense, feel, to focus. Where am I? Okay, here, I'm in this environment, but what's going on? Move to the next step. Do not self-destruct. Think it through. Feel your way to the next step. You're processing through your sense of feel for self. That's what I'm saying to you. And so when you store that experience is stored by choice. And as you move forward, you're moving through that experience. You're not getting caught up in it. And so your outcome is being produced through your action, because the brain is sending you through the process channels of responding to catch up to any negative reactions you may have released initially upon contact. And as you interact, you are evolving through a sense of feel for self, the brain and the body and the lead. So here you go. And that's the Brains Body Learning System. No. You got to come to class. You got to come to the book tour. You got to come to the Brains Body Showcase. You got to experience this, the ultimate experience for real. That's what I'm offering. Dr. Slaton Live, the ultimate experience, what I'm selling. Okay? And as you beginning to understand how your brain talks back, okay? How does your brain talk back? I know how my brain talks back. When I'm thinking, I'm in a room by myself, and I got all this stuff, and I'm trying to clear my desk, my brain and me are just going through the moment. When I say me, I mean my sense of feel for self. It's going through all these motions, and we're just removing stuff, but we're doing it logically. And I just believe. You see, I say, well, who's winning? I'm winning. Why am I winning? Because I'm able to do these things, all these things. And it's like simultaneous, just responding to one item to the next, to the next, to the next. My desk is clear. And when I look back and take a breath, who did this? You did. How did you do it from the inside out? You were thinking things through. And who was talking to you? No, your sense of feel for self, grounded in the fact that you can see the results. You can see that your desk is clear and that you can reflect upon the experience and then write it down. Brain talk. Read the book. Brain talk. That's what I'm talking about. So here we go. I think that the most important part about the Brains Body Showcase is the experience of experiencing self, other people, and the environment. Now, the environment, and this is going to be IT. Why? Because you're going to be on Zoom and so forth and so on, but you still got to present the real you from one phase of the showcase to the next, all the way to the finals, if you get that far, where you come into this environment, and now you got to read the environment and the audience and then yourself, and you got to go to the next level of performance. But I'm doing it backwards, see? You perform first, and then you move to the next step, all the way down until your writing has a standout as your professional product, right? Because you got 4 to 5 products you'll be developing through the Brains Body Showcase. But the most important one, not the drawing, but the most important one will be your writing. Why? Because that's what's going to stand out, because that's what's going to explain the experience. And years down the road, when you reflect, you see that on the wall at the Brains Body Showcase Wall of Fame, you'll be able to reflect on that. That's me. Back in 2024, I won first prize in that competition. I earned X amount of benefits from the experience, and then benefits from reaching the finals. And then I was able to realize for the first time probably in my life, my human potential. The human potential that I can begin to believe that it's not because I'm white, black, brown, or red, but because I understand my human intellectual skills and capacities to understand how to move through people and not be disrupted by the games and the noise that you have to go through that can disorganize you. That's what's happening, that's what happened, and that's why it can't continue to happen. Come to the Brains Body Showcase and get it for real. This is Dr. Slaton Live, tuning out.